Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. This is a campaign update for the Star Wars game we've been playing on Sundays, which has now become more of a Star Wars sci-fi game than it is just Star Wars. So keep that in mind as you're hearing about all these weirder things we're doing in the game. Right now we're in Wild Space, which is just outside of the galaxy of Star Wars. And the area of wild space we're in has the StarCraft stuff in it. So it has the Protoss, the Zurg, the Terrans. Well, without further ado, let's review what all's happened and get our fellow players and everyone else caught up. And remember, I'm a player in this, not the game master. So as we've started to build our satellite base that we've covered with debris and asteroids, and started building a headquarters with the SCVs, we saw the Zurg attack the planet, and they're fighting the wild Zurg that are on the planet. And they've kind of really isolated the planet. And we've just kind of left them alone for the last couple of weeks as they're dealing with each other. At this rate, about a few weeks have went by since they've attacked. We still have like 6 or 7 weeks to get our headquarters built. So we're trying to wait for that just so that we can get access to more SCVs and then get access to more buildings. Well, at this point, a fleet enters the space, and they kind of just appear. So they're using a hyperspace that's different than hyperspace. They're using the Protoss's instant teleport or portal technology. And they begin fighting the Zurg that are around the planet and bombing the planet. We decide that we're going to get involved. So we hop in our transport. The Mandalorian controls it with his Tusken Jedi. And me and the Doug get into a fighter. He's my co-pilot. The two Wookiees get into a fighter. And then the Protoss Paladin, or Protoss Sheriff of the area, and my Yoda Padawan get into a ship together, fighter. And then we take the transport, we launch it from our base, and we wait till it gets away from the base a little ways, and then we launch our ships out of it. We're trying to mitigate the enemy knowing where we're at as far as the base goes, which after some of this game's passed, we figured out that it's not going to matter once what has been started finishes. But that doesn't have anything to do with this battle. So let's continue with the battle. I began getting the ship into position and launching a few blasts at the enemy. We have a swarm come towards us, and that we begin to engage, and the Wookiee ship ends up taking a lot of damage. Me and the Doug end up killing a few of the Zurgs that are in space, and then the big transport ship launches a missile, and I grab all the Zurg that are around Timmy's ship, the Wookiee ship, and pull them to the missile so that they take all that damage and it destroys them. At least that's what I remember happened. I could be wrong, so if I am wrong, fellow players, put it in the comments below. We rescue his ship, then I go and I hide inside the debris field. Oh yeah, during the fight, during the fight, we activated Cloak and sat there, and then the Yoda character activated Cloak, but instead of activating correctly, he targeted his cameras to the sun, so he glowed the area like a bright sun, which was hilarious and would have been accurate to the player if he actually would have made it to the game. But we go to the debris field, we cloak, and then I begin using move object to just sort of pelt the planet with large chunks of debris. The Doug does so as well. And we begin hitting the zurg, hitting the planet, and we do that for about 30 minutes. The fleet begins moving. When it begins moving, our systems get shut down, and then when they reboot, we now have a new message, and we have coordinates to go to. We decide, after a quick debate, that we'll go there. Once there, we talk with the Protoss and we talk with the Terrans after landing, and we agree to be hired on as mercenaries, getting paid in tonnage of crystal, which is the main building material for just about everything. There are secondary resources used to build, but the primary is just the crystal. We begin repairing the fighter that was taken out. On our way to this meeting, we saw a bunch of whales eating the debris field. We sort of attacked them, but it did nothing. We didn't realize that they were released by these guys, at least not right away. But we agreed to be a mercenary group helping out these guys. So our first mission is to head to a moon or a little planet that's frozen over, that's rich with resources, mostly gas, that they need. So we agree to it. Our mission is to destroy a cliffside and blow the dammed up side of a lake. The lake's the size of one of the American Great Lakes. It's filled with nothing but acid, and in the valley below the lake, between the cliffside and the lake, is filled with nothing but zurg. So we agree to it. We land an HQ next to a bunch of resources, a bunch of crystal, and then all of a sudden they begin building rapidly, faster than our HQ is being built. After a good couple of days, we scout out the cliffside. We come back. Now they have a weapons depot built. We get our directional charges. We go back to the cliffside. We're using our tank to travel to and from this area. I'm sitting on top of it. Everybody else is inside it so that they could fight. And we don't have any encounters. We make it to the cliffside. We begin putting our charges, and then we retreat. We set the charges to be triggered from our orbital, one of our orbital ships. After that, we need to go retrieve a radioactive crystal, so that way they can make the nuke needed to blow the side of the lake. So we go to a valley that's heavily radioactive. I made a mistake before this part of the mission. I was relying on my energy protection shield, which protects you from radiation, but its limit, I believe, was like 2 hours of protection. And I could be wrong, it could be less than this. And the party had gotten spacesuits to protect them from the radiation. So they're equipped better than I am for that. We enter, and my time gets to the part where I can't continue forward if I want to be protected from the radiation, so I retreat back to the ship. or back to the tank, I should say, because we used the tank to get there. We pick up they continue on for like half an hour past where I had to retreat. They get the crystal, they bring it back. We travel a good distance away from the massive radiation. I get out, I use move object to carry the crystal. We go back to our fort, our headquarters. I decontaminate. The tank's decontaminated and everything else. And then the nuclear device is built. The sand person, Jedi, is handed a rifle, and he's told to go mark the location that the nuke needs to hit. And so we head there, and it's like a 2-mile distance sniper rifle that he can paint the target with. So we go, we set up. The missile's launched. We are sitting there wondering if we're far enough away or not. But at the time that we have confirmation the missile's launched, we blow the cliffside. Within a couple of minutes, we're given notification to get out as far as we can. We hop in the tank and we move as fast as we can, which isn't fast enough overall. We're caught in the shockwave of the explosion, throwing the tank. We pick the tank up with move object, and we head back to our base. Our mission was successful, so we get our tank fixed, and then we wait for the gas drilling platforms to be fully built before we retreat, because that was our secondary mission that could give us more payout. So after that was done, we head back to the headquarters that was in space. We talk with the Terrans and we get paid. They also give us 5 of the SCVs, and those are droid-powered SCVs, where the ones that we had acquired are not. The 3 that we started with to make our headquarters. So, and these SCVs are already, their fuel tanks are already loaded with the maximum amount of crystal they can be carrying. In addition to that, we were paid, I believe it was 10,000 crystal each, or 100,000 crystal, or just 10,000 crystal. I don't remember specifically. It was like the last thing that happened. And then we're headed back to our base to continue our base's construction, our orbital base. I don't expect us to stay on that base for very long at the beginning of next game. We'll probably put the droids to work, finishing the headquarters and building something else after that. Meanwhile, we'll either go planet side where all the zurg are and fight the zurg, get more experience, or we will go back and take another mission. Right now, we need to find a way to get our hyperdrives to work that I had constructed with my Asgard. So I need to figure out with the Game Master what substitute materials could possibly be used for those fuel cells. Or if we need to get access to a different type of hyperdrive altogether, being the Protos's portal hyperdrive. Well, until we all game again.